Welcome back to Pania Crochet. Thanks for joining me. Today I am going to show you how to make the Amber Pocket Shawl. I am using the Lion brand Hue and Me yarn. And this is a bulky yarn category 5. And this is 4.4 ounce or 125 grams. And in this ball of yarn, there's 137 yards or 125 meters. I have this yarn in the color Salt. And for this project, you'll need 4 of these salt color yarn and then 1 yarn of this pink kind of champagne color. And the name of that color is Rose Water. You'll also need a crochet hook. This is the boy hook in size L8.00 millimeter. And you'll also need a scissor and a yarn needle. And if you'd like, a measuring tape. Otherwise, follow along with me. We're going to start with the salt color. I am making a slip knot here and insert my hook into the knot, slip knot, and then I'm going to chain up 35 chains. Take note here, if you want a wider shawl, make sure to increase it by 2, or if thinner, decrease it by 2 stitches. Here I have 35 chains. I am going to skip that first chain and insert my hook into the next one and make a single crochet. And then make a single crochet into each of the chains all the way to the end. And at the end of the row here, the first row, you'll have a total of 34 single crochets. At the end of the row here, turn and we're going to start row 2 here. So I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in that very first stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then single crochet into the following stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the following stitch, and then we'll repeat chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the following stitch, and again chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the following stitch. And you'll repeat that pattern all the way to the end here. And at the end here, you should have 1 stitch left, and we're going to single crochet into that very last stitch. Now for row 2, there should be a total of 18 single crochet. And for row 3 here, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet into the next chain space, chain 1, single crochet into the next chain 1 space here. Again, repeat chain 1, single crochet into the next chain 1 space. And we'll repeat this all the way to the other end. And for this row 3, you should also have a total of 18 single crochets. And at the end here, single crochet into the very last stitch. And then you'll turn, and from here on, from row 4 to row 78, or until desired length, you'll repeat row 3. Now I'm here at the end of row 78 with my last single crochet. I'm going to yarn over and leave a long tail. Now at this point, you will want to make another panel again, repeating what we just made. And so you should have 2 short panels that should add up to 76 inches in length together. Here, I'm turning my project on the right side, the top panel here on the wrong side. And I'm going to also turn the other one on its wrong side as well, so I can seam the center together, which are both row 78 together. So at the ends of the shawl, you should have a row 1 at the bottom over there, and row 78 is where you should seam. So this is the right side here, and the V's are facing upward when you have the shawl on you. So the V's on both panels should be facing upward. So with that one long piece of yarn that I left to seam the center here, I'm just going to yarn over, because I haven't. I'm going to yarn over and pull through. And then I'm going to get my yarn needle here and insert the yarn through, and I will start seaming the 2 rows here together. So what I'm going to do is I am going to insert my needle into that very first stitch here under 2 loops, and then go into the other panel in that other first stitch there under 2 loops, and then we'll go back to the first panel here into the next stitch under 2 loop, and then into the next stitch of the other panel under 2 loops. And so we'll keep repeating that all the way to the other end of the shawl here. And finally, when I'm at the end here, I'm going to just go into my last 2 loops here, and I'm going to insert my needle back into the top in the same stitch one more round here, just so I can close it off here. I'm going to make a knot so that secures the yarn here, and as you can see, there's that little ridge in between the 2 panel, which I kind of really don't like. So what I'm doing is just moving here so you can see my project a little bit better. I'm going to insert my hook into the top panel and then bring that needle through so that it closes the gap. Here I am just sewing in the loose end, making sure that the needle is only going in between these stitches and it actually doesn't show up in the front. And then once I have that through just a little bit, I will cut off the tail here so that it's nice and clean. And now I'm going to show you how to make the pocket for the shawl. This is the first pocket that I made, and I am going to show you how I get those 2 different colors together. So you want to start with a new fresh yarn here. I am going to make a slip knot, and then I'm going to make my chains here. So you'll want a total of 19 chains. And then once you have 19 chains, I'm going to skip the first chain and single crochet in the next chain, and then single crochet into each of the chains all the way across here. And for the first row here, you should have a total of 18 single crochets. And then at the end here, my last single crochet, I'm going to turn, and then for row 2, chain 1 single crochet in that very first stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the following stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then into the next stitch, make a single crochet. So you'll want to repeat chain 1, skip 1 stitch, single crochet into the following stitch to the end of the row. In the very last stitch, make a single crochet. Then at the end of row 2, you'll want to turn, and for row 3, you'll chain 1, single crochet in that first stitch, and then chain 1 and single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and then repeat, making a chain 1, single crochet into the next chain 1 space. So you'll do that all the way to the end of the row. And as you can see here, I have a really long tail in this video because I didn't videotape that part of the pocket, so I'm using the demonstration from the shawl. But anyway, at the end, you should make a single crochet in the last stitch, and then keep the white or the salt color yarn, and then attach the pink one by yarning over and then pulling it through, and then pull on the white yarn to secure the pink. And then from here, you'll turn and you'll chain 1, single crochet into that first stitch, chain 1, and then single crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and then repeat chain 1, single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and you do that to the end of the row, and into the last stitch you'll make a single crochet, and then you repeat that again by chaining 1, single crochet into the first stitch, chain 1, and then single crochet into the next chain space. So you'll repeat row row 3 here all the way to the end, and each row is the same as row 3, it's just that we're switching color. Anyway, for this pink here, we're only making that for 2 rows. Now I am going to come back to the white and yarn over and then pull on the pink yarn, and now I'm going to continue making the next row of whites. And so this row is row 6, and so for row 6 to row 14 you'll repeat row 3 again, except this is in the white yarn. And then once you reach at the end of row 14, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut off the pink yarn so I can start over with the pink at row 15 here. So we'll repeat row 4 to row 5, which is basically making row 3 but in the color pink. So I'm attaching the pink yarn here, and I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and we'll continue with a pattern single crochet in the first stitch, chain 1, and then single crochet into the next chain 1 space. So basically repeating this other pink section below of the pocket. And then once you have 2 rows of pink, then you'll come back and attach the white yarn and make 3 more rows with that white yarn. So I'll see you at the end of row 19. Finally here, making my last single crochet at row 19. I'm going to just cut my yarn. I'm going to make a long tail so I can sew in the pocket to the shawl. And at this point I have 2 pockets now, so they're matching identical pockets. Now I'm going to show you how I get the pockets on the shawl, but first I have to yarn over and pull this long tail through because I haven't. And then at this point you'll also want to sew in all of the loose ends in the pocket before you sew it onto the shawl. And then here I have the shawl on its right side, and we're at the bottom of the shawl where row 1 is, and I had steam blocked both of the shawl and also the pockets. So I'm going to place the pocket on its right side and also put it in the center of the shawl here. Now I'm gonna get my yarn needle and just insert that tail of yarn that I have attached to the pocket here, and I'm gonna sew in the sides, the right and the left sides, and also the bottom side of the pocket to the shawl, leaving the top so that you can actually use it as a pocket. So all I'm doing here is inserting my yarn needle into each row and then into the stitch that is closest to that row from the shawl. And I'm doing that twice here at the top to make sure that it's pretty secure. And then I'm going to insert my needle into the next row and into one of the stitches from the shawl as well. And I will continue doing this down each row for the pocket and into the row in the shawl so that they are stitched together. And once you do that all the way around the left side, the bottom side, and then the right side of the pocket here, I like to just go into the very last stitch here twice to secure the top, again like I did on the left side where we started, and then insert my needle into the back of the project. And then I'm going to make a knot here and finally sew in the loose end, and then cut off the tail. Now I have my pocket on the right side of my shawl, and as you can see, the V's of the single crochet of the pocket and on the shawl is facing upwards, so it looks like a V. Here I'm just cutting off the tail of a loose end that I sew in from the pocket earlier. And for a final touch, make a couple of tassels and attach that to the bottom edges of the shawl on both sides. And here is a picture of how my shawl turned out. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please remember to watch more videos that I made on my channel, and also subscribe to my channel, Pania Crochets. Thank you, and stay tuned for more videos.